Parles-tu français? Hablas español? Parli italiano? If you've used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based techniques teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world. With lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers, Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/Wondery. Spelled BABBEL.com/Wondery. Rules and restrictions may apply.
What's the best SEO strategy for beginners? What's the best SEO strategy for beginners? This is a very important question that I would like to answer in a very short time because I want you to take action after listening to this. And I'm glad that you are here listening to this because this is information that I am so excited to bring to you, especially during the weekend, because I want you to try out these things, test them out, see what that does for you, for your business, and also for your brand. But at the same time, see what it does as an impact to your business overall when it comes to people finding you, trusting you, liking you, connecting with you, building with you. These are the things that would elevate your brand entirely to the roof, because the best SEO strategies for beginners start with audience targeting and audience marketing. And I'm going to share this with you today, and I hope you're going to learn something new and take something from this, because these are some of the things that if we don't do as beginners or with the basics, it's going to be hard for us to scale. So I know we talk about all these great topics and they're very extensive, but I also felt like it should be easy for you to come back to this and start from here and then maybe go to other places, because you're able to listen to other episodes or other similar responses to this type of question so that you can get the right answer and apply the right methods for your business, especially when it comes to best practices. So we're going to talk about it today, and the link you see above, it's a documentation from Google documentation, or rather Google Search Central. So this is a good place you can actually look. It's by Google, developers.google.com. So it's a starter guide. It's from Google. So you can click the link and save this, because this is going to help you. And we're going to talk about it because I want you to see it. You can read it, you can hear it. And when you think about it, right, 5% of your retainer acquisition by listening is only 5%. But if you can teach somebody else, that's about 90% acquisition when it comes to learning and retaining information. So we're going to talk about this today. So that as a beginner, if you're starting from scratch, we're going to make sure that we handle this within a short amount of time. So I'm excited that you guys are here. Happy Saturday. Glad to have you here. Brian, Rob, Rosita, Mary, Dr. Tavis, thank you for being here. Kalis, Madhab, Hiroko, Romaisa, Sam, Yo, Lucas, and Coach David. Thank you for being here. How are you, John? Happy Saturday. What's going on? How you doing?
I'm good, Favour. Just got back to walking my dog.
I'm hoping that you're going to gain some information about this today. And just right off the bat, let's just go straight to it. If you want to know what the best SEO strategy is as a beginner, is by starting with asking questions, because SEO is all about answering questions. So if you're asking questions, that means you're asking questions to the algorithm. That's Google, that's ChatGPT, that's Perplexity, that's Pinterest, that's YouTube, that's Amazon. You're going to these platforms for two options, especially when it's in purchase mode. You're looking at pre-purchase or post-purchase. So when you're creating content, you're creating it to elevate and also create a brand that's also going to make sure that you can stand out from the crowd. So when you look at SEO and the best strategies right now as a beginner, the first step for you is to just understand your audience. And how can you do that? You can go to a website like answerthepublic.com. You can go to answersocrates.com. You can go to sparktoro.com. You can go to ubersuggest.com. These are platforms you can go to. There are many. I'm not going to mention so many of them, but I don't want to also overwhelm you. But the first two I mentioned, you can start off with that. The third one, you can also use that if you want to be more extensive. But at the end of the day, there are other tools that you can use, and also learn how you can use this for your businesses. If you want to figure out how it works for AI, I'm going to be talking about this very soon, so I feel comfortable to talk about it now, is a platform called LLM Refs. So if you are using Search Console with your analytics, with your mentions, then it's going to be easy for you to get more receipts based on, I can say, listings online, when you're looking at people finding you based on topics that you answer, which is what I brought up in the first point, answering questions that people are asking frequently so that you show up frequently. And then that way you're able to build your authority and credibility. So we're going to dive a little bit into that.
And Favour is back. It's his room. I am getting ready to edit and mix down a podcast version of my show for the web for release for tomorrow. Before I do that, I'm going to check into Google Analytics, which is a free tool. I know Favour uses some more advanced, but this is free, so it fits my budget. And it does what I want it to do, and it's not too difficult to figure out. And I'm seeing where episodes of my show are the number one most visited landing page is an episode of my show. Then direct, then number two is an episode of my show. Then just a page called episodes. Then an episode of my show. And then blog articles mixed in with episodes of my show. So the one thing I would say is this, and I'm not too far advanced in this. I know Favour really is. Hypertext markup language. HTML is the language of the internet. What words you use in titles and your first paragraph in particular, whatever you put up, are the most important to get spotted by search engines. And one of the advantages of getting search engine traffic is it produces 24 hours a day, 7 days a week while you're doing other things at the beach. It produces traffic to your website. Then you have traffic, which is how many clicks you get. And then from that, you can figure out what the conversion rate is. Right now, I'm at about 6% because mine is free, but the industry standard is about 2%. So if you don't generate traffic to your website, and you don't pay attention to your words that you're putting up, you're not going to generate traffic. And that's what the big boys do all day, every day. Thanks, Favour.
Thank you so much, John. That is true. There has to be a balance between the two, and you have to create a connection, because the connection between the two things that you're creating online is, I'd actually call it a three-way connection, not even two-way, because on one side of the fence is you. The other side of the fence is your audience. And then in between you and your audience is the algorithm. So for you to bypass the algorithm to get to the audience that you're searching for, and they're searching for you too, then there has to be a resemblance between how they find you and how you find them. It's a match. The reason why it's a match is because you have an equal connection. That's why it's a match. So when you start looking at people finding content online and seeing your business show up consistently, it's a good thing. And John, you brought up something that is really good, and I want us to dive a little bit into this just a little quickly. When you're looking at your pages that are ranking the most, the reason why those pages are ranking the most is because it's not only active on your page. So if there's an episode that's ranking at the top of your listing, that's because that episode is not only listened to on your website, but it's also listened to on other distribution platforms, which also send signals back to your domain, because that's where it's pointing from. So all those signals are referring back to you, which is strengthening the amount of traffic, impressions, and clicks, and all that great stuff that happens on your site. When you started doing this with podcasting, as opposed to not having podcast pages as blogs, did you see a difference between the two?
There's a huge difference, Favour. So, and I guess I started really paying attention to SEO probably 3-4 years ago. Time flies by. But before and after, before I was so busy on saying who my guest was, what I want to talk about, And that's not what people were searching for. And the guest probably talked about what people are searching for. So when I started focusing on, I'd say 2.5, 3 years ago, focusing more on what people are searching for that applied to the episode, they skyrocketed. Not every one, but overwhelmingly, some of them did much better. And we're talking the difference between 5,100 page views, page visits compared to 250. That's the difference is when we focus on the words we use and are people actually searching for them and the search engines are spotting them, it's going to be a win. And it's not just a win in SEO, it's also a win in social media as well.
That is true, because when you win on social media, you also win on search. And when you win on search, you automatically win on social media because you're the first reference, to the topic, which is a good thing. And I love that you brought in that, when you see the difference between the two, you're also seeing how people are engaging with your page, how they're increasing your analytics. So it's not just even the page, it's the overall site, it's the overall experience, it's the overall brand. So when people get to see one page and they like that page, they're like, oh, there's more, oh, there's more, oh, there's more. And then the more they stay, the more they connect. And the deeper they connect, the deeper they feel about what they're experiencing. So it's like a full cycle. And when you see that consistently, it also encourages you and also allows you to know what they like and what they don't like, because people are looking for information, but they're not finding it. Or if they're finding it, they're not seeing the value. But if they're seeing the value and they're finding you as a value giver, then it's a good thing, because every time you show up, they'll remember you the last time that they saw a solution from your perspective. So it's a win-win for everybody, but that has to also create that, I'll call it a three-way connection for sure. This is also something I want to talk about today when it comes to the SEO strategies and the best strategies you can use as a business owner, especially if you're doing this for the first time and you're a beginner, you're doing this on your own. There are things that you do as a beginner that are very basic and they're still fundamental. For example, when you have a website, a very basic SEO strategy is when you are buying your domain, you're buying your domain with a HTTPS security connection. Most times when you buy a domain, when they say, do you want to add SSL? Some people say, should I do it? Should I not do it? Yes, you should. One is you're creating a privacy barrier between you and the audience, because once your domain goes public, your public domain becomes accessible. So when you want to protect your domain, it's because you're using a secured site. And nobody's going to stay on a website that doesn't have a padlock, especially now in 2025. If it says not secure, they're out. And you're not tracking that either. So it's just a lose-lose. So ensure that your website is secure. Now that it's secure, also ensure that you have a sitemap. This is one rookie mistake that I see, that I plead with you that you should please do this on your own, or get a professional, or hire us to do it, or anybody that you can connect with that can actually do it. If you can do it yourself, perfect. But this is something you should do. Like, we should not even do it for you. We should be scaling, not auditing. But that happens because not everyone knows it. But by the time we're scaling, at least you know where we're scaling from. That's why we do audits, because we're able to scale from a point and then look back 3 months after, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, and say, this is where we were and this is where we are. Why? Because we did this, we did this, we did this. It's very simple, straightforward. SEO is not a hard thing to do. It's very simple, but it's time consuming, but it's very active, responsive as well, because when it's active and it's responsive to whatever you're saying consistently, the algorithms will pick up what you're saying and who you're trying to talk to. So it just gets easier and easier over time. So one thing I see is that if you have a website, think about a sitemap. Just like you have a car needs a battery. Just like as human beings, we need a brain. Just like anything that you're working with, it needs something to function. If it's a software, if you have a phone, you need a software to operate the phone. It's logic, right? The same thing applies to your website. When you have a website, it's not just a website. It's a car. You can drive it. People can go live. You can launch it. You can landing page it, whatever you want to call it. But if that page or that website in itself in full doesn't have a sitemap, you're technically saying that your website doesn't have a brain, or your website doesn't have a map, or it doesn't have a pathway, or it doesn't have a thinking capacity, or it doesn't have an open source. These are the things that are going to make or break your website, because as a beginner, you may not know these things. And I want to tell you how these things are. So when you ask, what is a sitemap? A sitemap is a link in form of an XML file. And what does an XML file stand for? Expandable Markup Language. John talked about HTML, Hypertext Markup Language. Those are the blue links you see on Google. Those are the blue links you see in your email. Those are the blue links you see when you click here. Those are the blue links that are HTML, Hypertext Markup Language. And that is also in the form of the full setup, right? When you look at your emails, when you look at these things, it's HTML, right? This is what we can read. Human beings, that's what we can read. XML, right? When you look at hyperlinks, those are blue links and all those other links that you see. Hyperlinks are great for your HTML access because it's a map. XML is for the algorithm to read. So what am I saying? If I can read your website and I can see what's on your website, but the algorithm is not reading your website the way I'm reading your website. In other words, I can read in color, I can read in text, I can read by visual support, I can read because I can actually scan a page or skim a page or read through a page or understand the page because I'm reading through the page. But the algorithm is not reading anything because there's nothing to submit. There's no sitemap that the algorithm can read. So if I'm reading it and the algorithm is not reading it, that means I'm the only one reading it. That's really what it means. But if the algorithm is reading it, it means that the algorithm can now give it to the next reader outside me, which is the next person who's looking for the same information that I'm searching for on the internet. The same internet that you use is the same results you get. So when you don't have an XML, an expandable markup language, when you don't have a sitemap, and you have to create one or submit one, most websites like Wix, Squarespace, Shopify, they automatically come with a sitemap, but those sitemaps are not activated until you're able to connect them to platforms like Google Search Console, Google Analytics. These are platforms that you have to connect to whenever we, talk with clients or when we onboard prospects and we're talking to people and we want to know how their businesses are. We ask them, hey, is your business local? Is your business regional? Is it national? Is it international? From there, we break it down further. We understand how many locations do you have? Do you have 1, 2, 3? Okay, how are you going to use these on your website? Do you have FAQs? Do you have answered questions that people can frequently ask you without you having to repeat yourself over and over by phone or through email? It's on your website. The algorithm can read it and it can disseminate that information to somebody else who needs that information as well. So it's the same thing. Thank you, Lucas. So when you're reading the algorithm and how the algorithm is reading you, the goal is to make sure that you and the algorithm are one of one, right? It's binary code. If it's 101 and that's binary code, if there's a 1 missing or 0 missing, it's not binary code anymore. It's an error. So the way to make sure that the source code is matching is by allowing your content to show up on the internet so that someone can read it. And then the other side of the reading dashboard, if I can call it that way, or if I can say the other side of the mirror, is the algorithm. Because if the algorithm is pointing towards the people, think about it like a hall of mirrors or a wall of mirrors. You're walking into a room of mirrors. Everywhere you go, whatever you see is what is reflecting to the next mirror. There's a refraction, there's reflection. You're seeing all these types of things happening, right? Because you're looking through mirrors. So what you're seeing on the other side is what the other side is seeing in you, right? We are what we eat, physically, mentally, spiritually, mentally. That's how it is. So the same thing applies to your website. When you feed your website with good information, with good links, with good content, with good images, with good SEO, with good questions, people will naturally find you. We've seen websites that started from scratch and are gaining 50,000 impressions within 3 months. We work by quarter or annually, depending on the one that you want, because we can't work month to month, because there's nothing we can achieve in a month that you're going to see progress unless there's a scalable graph that we can scale for 3 months plus. And it's a business. Your business has 4 quarters in a year. So how are you operating month to month instead of quarter to quarter or year over year? So that's how we're able to make sure that in the fiscal year of your business, you're able to know what your website is doing, who you're able to see, and who can find you on your servers. So the whole idea is to make sure that you can create a long-term plan that as a business owner, you're able to now use SEO as a strategy to make sure that people can find you. So when you have an XML file, that's how you're able to use it. Now, you're asking or probably wondering, where do I find this XML file? It's already right there. If you have a website and it's on WordPress, you can use Yoast, you can use Rank Math, you can use all-in-one SEO. There are so many platforms you can use. There are others I can mention. You can use that on Squarespace. You have that too. On Shopify, you already have that by default. On Wix, you have that by default. So your website is already having a sitemap. Just like you already have a brain, it's the same way your website already has a sitemap. Now, you need to sharpen your brain by reading books, by speaking, by talking, by reading, by writing, by thinking. That's how we shape our brain. That's how we evolve. That's how we learn more. I love to read books these days. I never used to love reading books when I was younger, but now I just love reading books because I love knowledge and I love reading and I love learning. So as I'm reading, the more I know, the more I don't know. So I'm understanding things, concepts, and I'm trying to understand, okay, this is making sense. Okay, let me understand why. So as I'm building the blocks, I'm able to understand how these things are going. So as I'm reading, I'm equipping myself with knowledge. That's the same way when you read, you're equipping yourself with knowledge. When you eat, you're equipping yourself with nutrition. That's the same way when you publish a website page, or when you publish a web page on your site, when you connect a blog and you now say, okay, I'm writing blogs on my website, what you're doing is you're feeding your website with good information, because that information can now be tracked and also submitted to Google. It can be submitted to Yahoo. It can be submitted to Microsoft. It can be submitted to ChatGPT. These are platforms that you can submit your content to, and it's free. That's the best part. People are using the platforms for free and you're using it for free. So what's really the cost? The cost is the time and the implementation. So if you're not able to do both, then that's where it becomes a problem. But you can do both, because when you have time, when you have money, and when you have energy, even if it's $1, 1 hour, and 1 kilowatts of energy, you can do something with that. It just depends on how your mind is and how you're able to do it. I've said this before, and this is in the morning too, and I like to talk about this too. There are 3 types of reps. I've said this before. There are 3 types of reps you have to do, 3 types of sets rather. Let me just be more expansive on this. There are 3 types of sets that you have to do. So however many reps you have to do per set is dependent on how many things you want to do to equip yourself as a business. The first set is your mindset. The second set is your tool set. The third set is your skill set. And those 3 things are highly dependent on how you spend your time, money, and energy. It goes back to those 3 things. Just like with water, there's solid, liquid, and gas. So as a business, when you look at your website as a website, a web page, and a web link, then you're able to know, okay, people are coming to find my web page because they have access to a web link that's accessible on a website. When you're able to understand that concept and you're like, got it. Okay, that makes sense. Ditto. The next thing that happens is you're able to now create content because you're doing research. So when you have your website and you have those sitemaps and they're connected, you don't have broken links, you don't have duplicate links, you don't have things that are just repeating themselves like you're kind of regurgitating it. Kind of like, for example, your website.com/contact. and then your website.com/contact-2, and then your website.com/copy-contact-3. And those 3 pages, one is a contact page, one is an about page, one is a gallery page. But those 3 pages don't say the same thing contextually, but they say the same thing from a linear perspective when you actually read the lines or read in between the lines. So I want to break that down so you can see it. So we're going to talk about that today. Lancernaut, happy Saturday. How are you?
What's up? I'm going to my office right now to program these doggone meta tags, metadata, SEO, clean my pages up, my menu bars. Like, yay. Let me just get some coffee first, bro. I'm up. What's up?
What's going down? Thank you for being here. Appreciate you so much. It's definitely a great time to be here and hear these things, and I'm glad that you're here to learn new things. So thank you for being here. Appreciate you so much. And there's a lot of great stuff that we talk about. And if we do these things correctly, we're always going to do them well. And sometimes we have to hear these things a couple of times before it actually makes sense or clicks. And there's no pressure, there's no rush. Everybody's on their own journey and nobody's rushing you to do anything. It's just about how much you care about your future and how fast you want to get there based on how well you plan. That's really up to you. I'm just giving you the blueprint. So I'm excited that you're here today. Lucas says, read the Wix blog. Have many powerful information recommended. Yeah, the Wix blog. Yeah, definitely. They do have great information. And the good thing about the Wix blog is that they really go deep into actually telling you more information. Even Google documentation tells you that too. Squarespace. There are websites that you see that you're building websites on, and they also have blogs. So you wonder and you ask yourself, okay, why are we not doing the same thing that these websites are? For example, if you have a website and your website is on Shopify. Shopify.com has a blog. Why doesn't yours have one? That's a really serious question to ask. It's a rhetorical question. I'm going to keep it for you to just think through it and then replace Shopify with another platform. And then ask yourself, am I doing that or not? Because when you don't have a blog, you're essentially telling the world you don't have anything to say. And that's a problem because you have something to say, but you're not saying it in the way that they're receiving it. It's like putting a message in a bottle. If I can't receive that message from the bottle, then what was the message for? Or what was the message about if I couldn't read it or understand what the intention was? So the same thing applies to your website. When you have a new website as a beginner, you're looking at security first, protect first. That's your first thing. You're not thinking about scaling, you're thinking about protecting. I have I can call it a 3-piece model. Protect, earn, scale. PES, protect, earn, scale. How do you protect? You protect your website by buying your domain, by securing your website, by putting your website on the map, by writing content. All these big websites you see, Wikipedia, Reddit, Shopify, ClickUp, they're all of them. They're Canva, they're out there. They all have websites that have blogs. So your website should have a blog too. That's to tell you how essential a blog is. You might call it an article, you might call it a resource, you might call it something, but it's a link. So if you have these things you're able to protect, it's because you're able to have a domain that is secure. A secure domain protects your intellectual property, and you want that to happen online consistently, 365 every year. So when you have that, the next thing is to think about earning, right? And earning means that you're not earning just only monetarily, but you're earning credibility. And by earning credibility, you're earning credibility because you have something to say consistently. If I wasn't here consistently, I don't think you'd believe me. or hear what I have to say. Because if I'm not consistent, you won't consistently connect with me, because the connection will be broken, because it's like this person's joking. So I wouldn't let that happen, because consistency allows me to indirectly tell you that I care about what I'm doing, so that I'm well enough prepared to make sure that if you are having a question, or if you are prepared to get something solved as a business, we're available. We're here. We handle SEO services, digital marketing services. We're able to help you and make your business grow, and also know that what you're doing is going to be for you. It's not a life contract. It's not like, oh, we're going to be with you forever. We're going to be with you for a couple of months, but if we're with you for 2 quarters, 3 quarters, 2 years, 3 years, that's a great thing, because you know that you're gaining, you're building, you're sustaining, and you're able to help yourself grow. You're able to help yourself build. We have clients that we've worked with, and we're still working with them even 2 years now. And I'm seeing them grow. Now they're turned into large businesses. They're literally doing great things. And I'm just like, wow. Just the other day, this was just a dream. It was just a conversation we had on Zoom. And now you're being nominated for awards. You're going up and down. You're traveling. It's a beautiful thing to see, but that takes time. But we all have time to take, but it depends on how much you're taking from the time that you're spending. You really think about it. If you're earning credibility, because you're writing blogs, because you're showing up as a podcast, or you show up with a video. There's something you're doing consistently that people see, okay, I like what this person is doing. Like, even my own friends tell me, even though we don't talk SEO, my friends, but they know what I do. They're like, oh yeah, I love what you're doing. I love what you're working on. Okay, this is good. Some of them have businesses, and then they ask me for advice or some help, and I help them because they're my friends. I'm not looking at them as like, oh, SEO, Pinterest. No, in my mind, I'm like, they're just asking a simple question. So if they ask about ChatGPT and they don't know about it, and I explain it, that's a good thing. If somebody else asked me the same question, I'll say the same thing. But the difference is that one person is just using it for knowledge, to understand. The other person wants to actually use it to make sure that they're also on the same platform, because they have a goal, they have a business, they have a milestone to achieve. And both are totally fine. So it really depends on how you want to scale your business in 2025, and consider the options. So when you're scaling because your earned credibility is allowing you to show up on different platforms. So when you have a podcast, and I'm planning to do this, when you have a podcast, how you distribute your podcast is really important, because if you're not distributing your podcast correctly, then it's going to be hard for you to be seen consistently. That's one thing. With your blog, if your blog is not connected to Google, it's not connected to Microsoft, it's not connected to Yandex, it's not connected to Ecosia, it's not connected to Yahoo, it's not on Pinterest. These are platforms that you're connecting to, just like your podcast is connecting to Apple, to Spotify, to iHeart, to Pandora. It's the same difference. So when you really look at blogs as XML and podcasts as RSS, really simple syndication, and you look at videos as, I can call them metadata when it comes to meta files. When you look at timestamps, when you look at chapters, when you look at, all those things, codec, those are the things that you're able to see. And you're able to know that, okay, these things all have something to play. That's why even on YouTube, you can't undo. There are 2 things you can't undo on social media. I'm sure there are others, but these are the 2 that I know you can't undo. And you'd have to do it again to do it again, if that makes sense. There are 2 things that you can't undo. The first thing that you can't undo on social media is on YouTube. If you upload a video on YouTube and you publish that video and it goes live, and you didn't change the MP4 file name, convention name on your local drive or your cloud drive, whichever drive you use to upload the video on YouTube, if you didn't rename that file and put the keywords that actually match the intent of the video, then there's no way you can undo that. You can always change the title, change the thumbnail, change the description, change the hashtags, but you can never change the video file name unless you re-upload the same video with a new file name. And then you have to now delete the other one, or archive it. So that's one thing you can't undo. The second thing you can't undo is on LinkedIn. When you create a newsletter on LinkedIn and the title of your LinkedIn post or edition says or doesn't have keywords towards the left of your URL, your uniform resource locator, let's say it's linkedin.com/pulse/ the name of the title of the blog or the title of the newsletter. If that says season 1, episode 1, introduction to music, for example, the URL is going to say pulse/season-1, actually numerical value 1 dash episode -1 introduction -2 music, and then your name will be at the end. And every time you have a newsletter on LinkedIn, your name is always going to be at the end of that URL, just to match that, because I could be saying the same thing that John is saying or Lance are not saying, but because the URL changes based on the name, then after the name there's actually like a numerical value that's more like an ID. I'll call it like a randomized number, but it's a set of characters that actually make your unique URL unique. So that's what really makes it a URL, because it has a pathway to a link that has accessibility on a website. So what you can't undo from what I was saying is that if you've created an episode or a season or some type of show and you now want to use that as your title, great, that's cool. But what you've done is when you hit manage under settings in the LinkedIn newsletter section before you hit next, because you'll see next in blue and next to that is manage. When you click manage, when you click the drop down icon, it's going to give you a couple of options. One of them is going to say settings. I think it's settings. Yeah. And then under settings, you'll see create URL. You actually have to click the button to actually create URL. And when you create the URL, what you actually wrote in the title of your newsletter is what's going to print into your URL. So if you created that URL and you wanted to change that URL, you can't. You'd have to change the entire newsletter edition and recopy and paste so you can actually start again from scratch, because the title of what you created in the newsletter is what by default becomes the title of your URL. So to avoid doing and undoing things, make sure that the keywords in your title of your newsletter have the right keywords. If it's best SEO strategy beginners, that's what it is, because that's the room for the day. That's what I'll write. So if you're going to write something else, then I would suggest that you write what is intended for the search first, create the URL, and then modify the title and change it to whatever else you want to title it. But as long as the first print is the original copy of what you want to intentionally show online for, then that's a good way for you to do it. So I don't know if you have heard of these two undos before that you can't really do or undo. John, Lance, have you heard of them before? And if you have, what has been your experience? If you haven't, what's your next move?
So very quickly, I jumped in here. I'm calling multitasking. You're spot on with both of those. I don't put a lot of attention on YouTube and LinkedIn as well. The LinkedIn newsletter is an overlooked thing that a lot of people, the newsletter and articles, the same thing. But if I think it's you got to have 150 followers, and I have a free LinkedIn profile. I don't pay for it. So right now I have, let's just say 13,100 connections on LinkedIn. And of that, about 7,800 people have subscribed for my email newsletter for free. And I send out 2 a week, and it goes right to their inbox. So don't sleep on those. I got a quick question. This is off topic, Favour. For we go to the next guest. Google Business Profile. My updates, my show updates have disappeared. Do you know anything about that?
Your show updates?
Yes, or updates where you put photos, the description of the episode, learn more, all that stuff. That's gone. All the other features are there.
Can like put posts and they can link to updates. I gotta check that. I haven't seen that. Let me see. Actually, I'm
While
gonna
you're
do a
while
live
you're
search.
researching it, let me share something that I'm gonna send to WhatsApp community. So let me grab my notes real quick while Favor's doing that. For those using Clubhouse, which we're all on right now, and Favor's on it, I've been on it for a long time. Clubhouse, for me, and its Google Analytics, is expanding its lead and generating traffic to my show's website. It's now delivering more monthly traffic than IMDb.com, International Movie Database.com, LinkedIn.com, Google Business Profile, Medium.com, Instagram, Blogspot.com, Linktree, Truth, and X combined. I'm sure he throws foreign people in there, and and particularly using Clubhouse Plus is a great way to drive traffic. So do not sleep on Clubhouse, and do not sleep on that Clubhouse paid feature for $4.99.
Yes, I feel like Clubhouse Plus is like LinkedIn without the
Oh
premium.
yeah, it's a big. Here's the one thing I tell people: look, Favor's on here. He's almost on here every day. I'm almost on here every day as well. And if you create a room that uses a title that attracts the audience you want to get, all right, then you use a description that attracts the audience you want to get. Let's just say they're customers slash consumers. Consumers first, then slash customers. And then throughout the hour room you do, you're going to talk, you're going to lead content, you're going to lead value that people that want your information and potential customers, you can say them very simply, check out my bio, and please check out my bio. And when this is over with, I will contact you. I'll add you as a friend, and then I'll send you a text message that includes a simple link you can click on to get more information. For example, you want more information about Clubhouse Plus and the article I wrote? Do that. So don't sleep on this, please.
Thank you, John. We gotta think about our time wisely and where we're spending it. I love spending my time on Clubhouse because it has a huge reward, a huge reward. And whether it's me in this room by myself or this room is packed with a lot of people, I'm still gonna finish the room and complete what I started because I'm not looking for people who are going to fill up the room. I'm looking for value that will be understood after the room is closed. Because when the listeners are coming back and people are learning and like just getting more information, this is where they come to. I saw a notification today. Yes, on Clubhouse. And this notification actually surprised me. I mean, I've been seeing it, but I'm like, this thing is really happening. I saw that. Yeah, I'm going to it right now. Yeah, there's a, I'm looking at it right now. 3 hours ago, there's a replay that I did on Clubhouse about social media hacks, how to optimize search and conversions. I did this room May 23rd. I'm looking at the date stamp. May 23rd, 2022. Today is September 13th, 2025. When I said earlier that this yields a lot of return on investment, as far as time, I'm not even talking about money, time, it's huge. My podcast, We Don't Play, is now over 560 episodes published. And I know before the end of the year, we're going to hit that 600 mark because we have over 200 episodes that have not been released. But I'm taking time to understand. I'm not just releasing episodes because I want to publish an episode. I want to really understand the season and also send an episode that is relevant to the time that we're in. So it's very specific. It's not just randomized. And the way I see it is because I know people are looking for this type of information. So I'm like, okay, let me handle this first and then we can talk about this later. So that's really good that you mentioned that, John. So on the update section, I'm going to use my computer and check, and then I'll send you a message to know about that to see because, yeah, you're welcome. Because that is something that I've never seen disappear, which is weird. So I have to know, like, maybe something could be a bug or
Yeah,
something could
I
actually
think it's a bug. And by the way, it really helps if another user on their computer looks at it. So just search for law enforcement talk in Google, and you should see the business profile there. Let me know what you see. Because I did do some research. They had a glitch in April 2025, but supposedly it's been resolved.
Yeah, it must have been a glitch that probably came back, or it might just be a quick glitch that might just be reset. I hope this hasn't happened like all day today or yesterday. Was this just recently, or
I noticed
it's
it
been happening?
started like 2-3 days ago. And so, and it'd be good information if everybody has a Google business profile, would just go log into your Google as that business and then see if you have the updates feature for your business. If it's gone, if it's a temporary thing, we'll know at least it's not just me. And I don't feel like I'm out in the woods by myself.
Yeah, this is interesting. Because the one that I just checked somebody else's, and I see, yeah, even yours, I see your last update was 6 days ago on your update. So it's still available, because if it was gone, they would delete the whole feature entirely. So it might just be a glitch that might be in the system. 'Cause
Thanks,
it's still active.
appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Great conversation. And Ching, I saw something. Yeah, Ching asked, what does it mean by don't sleep on this?
That's a term that I can't take credit for. So, for example, don't ignore something. So that's what don't sleep on this means. Don't ignore something. If Clubhouse Plus, if you can afford the $4.99 a month, there's tools that you can use in that to grow your business. So with don't sleep on it just means basically don't ignore it or don't look past it to something else.
Yeah, it's just a phrase, and I think any way you'd put it is just be aware of what you're doing with your time as well. And speaking of time, Howard asked a question. He said, yes, but does Clubhouse work for traffic when you are selling physical goods versus services / information? That's a great question.
That's a great question. Here's what I would say to that, Favorite, and I would love to hear what you say. So the ultimate indicator for whether you're selling services, products, and I don't sell. I want people to listen to my podcast, which is free. So that's one. So at a higher click conversion ratio, you have to look at how many clicks you're developing. And we can look at all overall clicks, or then we can start going down to social media, which Clubhouse is. So when we combine that, I don't compare Clubhouse to Google because it's different. I compare it to other social medias. When I look at other social medias, Facebook dominates in directing traffic. Then I think it's going to be Newsbreak, and then ManyChat, and then Clubhouse. So you look at how many clicks you're getting. Then from that, how many turn into sales or conversions, for lack of better words. Favour, I'm sure you got something enlightening to say about this.
Yeah, this is a great question. I love that you cover that too, because when I look at Clubhouse working for traffic, because that's the question, working for traffic. But when I'm thinking about working, I'm thinking about the time I'm investing within the work I'm investing for the people that will find me, whether it's product, service, information based, or just relation based. And what I've seen with Clubhouse is that the benefit of using Clubhouse is not just within Clubhouse. It also is outside Clubhouse. Just like we say, the benefits of using LinkedIn is not just within LinkedIn, it's how you connect outside LinkedIn and other platforms if you start using TikTok and other platforms that are available. The value that I see on Clubhouse for me, and I've seen it both with physical goods and services, is because let's actually break it down. Because if you're selling physical goods, if you're selling physical products, if you're fulfilling shipments, if you're doing deliveries, if you're however you're doing them and you're using the platform, this is one of the greatest platforms that you can use for data intelligence and market intelligence. Why? Because there are over 10 million total active monthly users on this app. And people find the room. And sometimes I ask people when they come for the first time, how did you find this room? They say they found it by searching. They found it by just going through the hallway, because the hallway is curated for their interests of topics that they're really, connected to. And I'm very specific and meticulous with my topics. So if I'm going to be talking about physical goods here, then I'm going to create a room about that's going to attract the people that actually talk about the same thing. They could be executives, they could be managers, they could be C-suite level, they could be operators, they could be just in business. But at the end of the day, the trade value of the time that you're investing on the app is giving you intelligence and market awareness, especially product awareness on the products. So you can ask people, hey, what products do you use if you're vegan or if you're pescatarian? Or do you like this? Do you like that? When you're using this platform and asking questions, even there are polls here, you're gathering data, you're gathering information. And then a really good thing to do on top of that is if you have a website, back to the SEO room for today, the strategy on doing something like that as a beginner or as an expert or as an experienced person, whichever stage you're in, it's the same application, where you want to make sure that the conversation you're having leads to another conversation. Just like when you have a first date. If you like this person, you want to have a second date, a third date. If you have a business conversation and you like it, you want to have a second and a third. You actually want to meet in person. You want to play golf. You want to travel together. You want to show up at the book club. You're doing different things that are going to elevate your brand. So if you have a physical product, using this platform, Clubhouse specifically when it comes to traffic, is a great way to attract the traffic, one, and then to build the traffic into your system, especially if you're using like UTM parameters through Clubhouse. That's one way. If you're just doing it directly and you already have pixels on your website, you have a meta pixel, you have a Pinterest tag, you have a Google tag, you have a Shopify pixel, Spotify pixel, not a Shopify, Spotify pixel, you have a TikTok pixel, you have things that are already in place to allow you to understand the conversion events within your web frame, then it's easier for you to adapt that information off the app. For me, what I also do is I would take my content from here and move that over to my podcast. And then people listen to my podcast and then find me on Clubhouse or find me on Google or find me on ChatGPT. It's happened so many times. So it's not just Clubhouse as the inner workings or the only, I'll call it the holy grail of what it would contribute or attribute to the bottom line. It's I'll call it a catalyst as opposed to just an asset, because this is where you can really understand the concept of giving people information and then taking that information to allow them to understand it. So if you have a brand and it's a product, you can have a link at the top of the room that explains your product and talk about your product, and people can sign up to your email list. So imagine doing one room a day for an hour or 30 minutes, or depending on how you're going to do it. By the time you're done doing that consistently, people will find you online. People will connect with you. There's some people here that I've never talked to, for years. And the day we talk or the first time we talk, it feels like we've been talking forever because we've been listening to each other for a long time. It's happened so many times. So I believe using this platform is a great way to build the attention, gather information, and then you're able to take that outside the platform and then talk about it too. If you're a service, it's a great thing too, because you can put a link to your blog, you can put a link to your product page, you can put a link to a collection page, you can put it to a contact page, you can put it to a request page, a poll page, something that you're going to allow people to have a discussion about your product in their minds. Because the whole idea is, can you psychologically understand the value of what somebody's saying by how they are disseminating that information through text or through audio or through video? So there are different ways you can definitely go about it. So Clubhouse, for me, definitely works. And when you're selling these products, the sale comes from the experience. If you have a bad experience, that's no sales. But if you have a great experience, that's a sale that's attributing to another one, that's going to advocate for another one, that's going to refer to another one. So it's a rinse and repeat process, but you're able to minimize your errors because of more product testing that you do in real time. So that's how I've been able to do it consistently on Clubhouse. This is going to be 5 years this November 24th that I've been on Clubhouse consistently, and I meet people from everywhere around the world, and it's a blessing to connect to people because you never know who you're talking to. You just never know. But the moment you keep connecting with people and they resonate with you and they keep coming back and they're actually there to listen and it's applying information and they're learning, they don't even have to be working with us to do it, but they're applying what we're saying, that's a win. because the whole idea is to give that information and then earn that credibility, which I talked about earlier. Protect, earn, scale. When you're earning that credibility on Clubhouse, people are listening to you, and the more they listen to you, the more they're gaining. Because if I put a link, which I'm sure I did, I put a link into my rooms, because I always, whenever I have a room, I put a link. So imagine in 2022, you listen to a replay in 2025, which just happened 3 hours ago. And there's a link there that's still active that they can still link to. They can still book a call. They can still show up on my website. They can still sign up to my email list because of that one link. So everything is interconnected, but they have to make sense, and it has to actually stand the test of time. So Howard, that was a really good question. And I hope we're able to answer that question for you well in today's room, because this is something that we talk about consistently. So if you're thinking about your business, if you think about the best SEO strategy, number one, secure your website. Number two, research about your audience. Number three, create topical pillars and clusters. What are those? Pillars are topics, clusters are subtopics. So if you can create a topic about, let's say, it's breakfast time. So let's say pancakes or waffles, and you make both. Or maybe you have a syrup company and you can use it for both. I'm just being random. I just chose a random product. So I want to give you like the hypothetical example so you can apply it and see how you can actualize it for your business. If I have a syrup company and I'm a new business and I want to rank on Google search or ChatGPT for the word syrup or the word maple syrup or the word syrup without additives, whatever the word would be, 5% this, that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the problems that people are having about the product. So I'll look and say, okay, what's the most popular product out there that people love for syrup? Let's actually do role play right now. If you like pancakes or waffles, put pancakes, put P for pancakes or W for waffles. Let's just do an active test. And if you don't like either or, just put an X because some people don't like coffee, some people don't like bread, some people don't like things. So, it's not everyone likes everything. So you have to be very aware about that. You can't generalize it. Julie said poached eggs. I love that. That's dope. It's a W and P. Okay, so we got waffles, pancakes. Okay, awesome. So I don't know if you use syrup or not, but some people do, some people don't need it. But if you use syrup, what type of syrup do you use? Okay, America said P2. Okay, so what syrup do you use on your pancakes? And Belle, what syrup do you use on your waffles? John, what do you use on your pancakes?
Well, I'd love to get something really deep. I rarely ever eat pancakes anymore. I'm down almost 60 pounds since January. Cut out carbs. But when I do eat pancakes, which I prefer over waffles, and waffles are good, there's nothing against waffles, the syrup I use is whatever my wife gives me to use. I don't pick out the brands. I could care less. I'm more into just devouring that stuff. So it's what she puts in front of me.
Okay. And I'm sure she'll put something healthy and nice and juicy.
And I refuse to do that.
We definitely love pancakes and waffles and syrup and all the good stuff with eggs. And it's a good breakfast. Like, some people like bacon, some people don't. Some people like turkey bacon, some people don't like bacon at all. So it depends on what you like. And Howard says maple. America Jones C says maple. Julie says Aunt Jemima. Belle says real syrup maple. So you see, these are all different types of syrups. Some of them may be the same. Some might be branded. Some might not be branded. So like if Howard, America Jones Z, and Belle like maple syrup, are they going to choose the type of maple syrup? And let us know in the chat. Let us know what type of maple syrup, because Julie went straight to it and said Aunt Jemima, and we know that what type of syrup that is. So she's kind of bypassed the question and then given me the brand that she'll actually pick off the shelf. So when we're talking about sales, marketing, branding, awareness, and retention, these are big places to look at. And if I have a syrup company and you've never heard of me and I'm trying to rank for syrup because I sell syrup online, then what I'm going to do now, just because of like how Julie has told me about Aunt Jemima, if I know that my audience also loves Aunt Jemima syrup, and this syrup is so good, and I know that a majority of the market share goes in the morning or every weekend or on a Sunday or when they're ever going to restock, that's what they always go to. In my mind as a marketer, this is a very random example. So I didn't plan this. So this is off the top because I do this consistently. So I'm able to like think on the go. If I was to do this as a business and I had a maple syrup business and I'm trying to rank online for a business that sells maple syrup, and let's call my maple syrup, let's call my maple syrup thinking of I have an idea. Let's call my maple syrup.
Do me a favor, Sarah.
Do me a favor, syrup. I have an idea. I like that. Do me a favor, syrup. I have an idea. There's something I want to bridge in here. If I had a syrup name and I'm going against or really going to the market that Aunt Jemima is in, I can say I can be called Uncle Jimmy syrup. Flavor syrup. That could work because it's maple flavor. You can use different flavors for the flavor syrup.
I think we're on Flavor Fave syrup.
Flavor Flav syrup, Uncle John syrup. Julie's good. Right. Let's do Uncle John syrup. Let's do that. Okay, so let's do this. Uncle John syrup on the shelf. There's Flavor Flav syrup on the shelf. And there is Aunt Jemima syrup on the shelf. And they're all maple syrups. I own the Flavor one. Uncle John owns the Uncle John syrup, and Aunt Jemima owns the Aunt Jemima syrup. They're all on the shelf. They're same price, just a different tag, different brand, different structure, different process. If I was going to rank my syrup website on Google or show up on ChatGPT for a result or Perplexity, welcome back, Dr. Tavis. What I'm going to do, and hey Shay, what I'm going to do is that I will write an article that says top best alternative maple syrup to Aunt Jemima. Or I can even go further and say top 5 alternatives to Aunt Jemima's maple syrup. Discover more. Or find your flavor. Or you see where I'm going with this? I'm now adding the brand into the mix while telling you about another brand that you know. So if I show up online for Aunt Jemima alternatives or Aunt Jemima or maple syrup alternatives to Aunt Jemima, I'm going to show up because I have 5 more syrups like yours, like mine, that are on top of that. So if I had Flavor Flav syrup, if I had Uncle John syrup, if I had Aunt Jemima syrup, if I had Julie syrup, if I had something that was going to be within that pipeline, then someone's going to see those options and now decide, okay, is it original? Is it organic? Is it healthy? Is it lasting? Like, people start thinking about all these different things. That's what's going to separate the 4 or 5 of them. But if I now talk about all these syrups I've mentioned, put them on my website, and then tell you that you should try the Flavor Flav syrup because we have 5 different flavors. For your syrup, you might want to have a strawberry flavor with your pancakes. You might want to have a vanilla flavor or a cocoa flavor with your coffee. However you want to do it, right? People have different taste buds. But if you're able to understand what people are doing, then I would write articles. And then on top of that, I'm going to talk about the stores that you can buy pancakes, because you're still going to need pancakes for your syrup. You're not just going to use syrup without pancakes. So what am I going to do? I'll be like, all right, you need syrup? I got you. You need pancakes? I know where to send you. So I'll tell you, okay, go to Target or go to Whole Foods or go to Walmart or go to Publix, go to Kroger. And when you go to those locations, I'll even say in the article, hey, go to aisle 9 and do this, get it from here, do that when you're shopping. Make sure that you go to this if you're living in this address or this street, or if you get your pancakes from Kroger, these are the places that you can get. This is the type of pancakes that I would get that are best for the syrup, because different syrups have different, different pancakes have different things. There's different types of flour. So when you start thinking about the kinds of pancakes people buy, the type of syrup people buy, and then I tell you about the alternatives to the syrup that you can get outside of what Aunt Jemima's syrup is. Now I've attracted Julie, because Julie likes Aunt Jemima's syrup. So if I have a syrup like Aunt Jemima, she'll buy both. She'll try the Aunt Jemima syrup because she needs it, because that's what she came for. But if she has time, money, and energy to try it again with another brand, she'll buy it alternatively and say, okay, I'll probably do the starter size or the trial size, or I'll just buy another copy or another, syrup, and then I'll try it out whenever this runs out, or maybe I'll try it in between. And if I like it, I'll buy it again. If I don't like it, I won't get it. So it's not a lose for her, it's a lesson, because she's able to know what she likes and what she doesn't like. But if it's better than Aunt Jemima, guess what? She's going to flip it and start buying more of the Flavor Flav syrup, because there's more that she's seen that Aunt Jemima didn't have, but now she knows more. Because it's kind of like when you know more, when you do better, it's because you know better. So that's what happens with your syrup. So if you have a syrup company and you're writing blogs about alternatives to that, Aunt Jemima versus Flavor Flav syrup, Aunt Jemima syrup versus Uncle John syrup, Aunt Jemima syrup versus somebody else's syrup. By the time
By the way, Flavor, I'm coming for your Flavor Flav syrup. I'm not going to play around.
I might just do a syrup. Definitely. I think I'm hoping this is helping, because I don't want SEO to sound like daunting. This should be actually exciting, because you can actually flip it and turn it into your own stuff. So when you do this type of stuff, different type of flavors, different types of syrups. What is syrup? How is syrup made? If you find a YouTube video on how they made syrup in the past, you can find that YouTube video and put that on your website. So when people are learning about syrup, when they're learning about how to use syrup, they're learning about you in the process, and they're also gaining information through. So by the time they're looking online or asking ChatGPT, hey, what is the best syrup to use for my pancakes today? And then Alexa will tell you, oh, the best pancakes you can use is according to da-da-da-da-da-da. And then you show up there. Or because you talked about all of them, that's why you show up. And if you really think about it, one of the most, I'll call it notorious websites for doing these type of things when it comes to food and travel is Yelp. You can never miss a Yelp link. Never. Even though you don't click on it, you see it. That's brand awareness. So imagine if they clicked on what they saw and they like what they clicked on. Now you become someone that they actually like to see. So when you're using that kind of syrup and you're creating content discussing what is syrup, how do you use a syrup, or what pancakes to use for syrup, or what are the different flavors we have for our syrup. And my website is flavorflav.this/that. But what that is, if you fill in the blank, it will be aunt-jemima-syrup-flavor-syrup. And then the next article would be aunt-jemima-syrup- versus another syrup. If I keep doing that consistently, it gets to a point that the algorithm will understand that my website is entirely talking about syrup or other things that pertain to syrup. So if someone's looking for syrup information or syrup images, they're going to find my webpage. So the more you talk about the same thing consistently in different dimensions, the better it is for you, because more people find you at a faster speed of search. I can say it like that, because people are looking for your content. You have indexable content. You're already showing up on Google. You've already done your keyword research. You've created content for your keyword research. And now you're building distribution channels for your content, whether you're distributing it through audio, through podcast, or distributing it through blogs, through Medium, Newsbreak. You're taking that article to LinkedIn, the same article you have on your website. You're distributing your video on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Pinterest. You're distributing. So anytime you think about content distribution, it's taking the same content but putting it on a different domain, not even a different social media platform, a different domain, a different website that's going to have access to that information. And if you're linking back to your website, the more you do that consistently, the more people will find your syrup. And then they'll be like, hey, let's try this syrup because it's there. And then the day you want to run ads, game over. So it just depends on how you want to structure your business. But the more you keep saying the same thing consistently, the more people find you and the more people trust you. Because that know, like, trust factor takes a while. It's easy for someone to lose trust in you in a blink of an eye compared to somebody building that trust with you over 2-3 years over time. So you don't want to lose that just because you didn't fulfill a message or you didn't fulfill a query. So that's something to really think about as a business owner. So I hope that syrup example helped you as well. If it did, please put a 1 in the chat. If you're still confused, put a 2 so we can find a solution for you. John, what are your thoughts on this when you think about syrup and just starting from scratch and building it up to establishment?
All of a sudden, I have an extreme craving for pancakes, Favour, and Uncle John's syrup. I don't know who it is, but it's got to be the best. And I already know the tagline: all the flavor, half the calories. So here's what I would say is for me, and you hit a lot of points. As a beginner, it's always good to think like a beginner, in my opinion, because it doesn't really matter what you have to say. What your product does doesn't really matter. If you think like a producer instead of like a consumer, and if you think like you've got something to tell people and you don't focus on what people are searching for, what the search engines are spider, what they're going to respond to on social media, you're losing 95% of the battle. It's your product's on one side in a circle and the consumers of your product are on the other side in a bigger circle. How do we get the consumers to be aware of our product? And one of the tools is SEO. So the simpler you can make it, the better. And there's some complex stuff with it that I don't do. Favour is really good at that. I don't. But night and day difference, and I'll close on it. I don't have exact figures. With the podcast version of my show, and there's 3 different models. One is the radio version of my show, which I generate revenue from, but there's far more revenue on the online. Podcasting is another form. Social media is another form. Search is another form. All those tools I use to drive traffic. Email, newsletter, you name it. It's all part of my ecosystem. It took the first, I would say, 6 years, a little more than 6 years, to get the first 1 million downloads. It has taken 2 years to get, I think it's 5 million more. And the difference is focusing on SEO, focusing on the basics of search engine optimization so that people that are looking for your content find it when they go to Google. When they're looking for podcast episodes that they're searching for topics of, they find you in the podcast directories which use the same algorithms or very similar to Google, Apple Podcasts, Spotify are the 2 we're talking about. YouTube is another search engine as well. So if they're not finding your content when they search for it and they're finding your competition, guess who wins? I say this all the time. Guess who wins? Guess who loses? It's the person that they find. And the one they find the most often is the one who wins. So the choice is yours. You do the work, or you hire someone to do the work, or you get lost and shuffled. That's all there is to it.
Thank you, John. You reminded me of something that's so important. I remember hearing this in Vegas, and Damon John talked about this, and Julie was there too. It was a great time at the entrepreneur event, and you just reminded me about something. Damon John said something that has been said before, but the way he said it was different. And then I thought about it the way you said it, and it got me thinking about the same phrase, which is, it's not about, and I'm paraphrasing, it's not about who's the best. It's about who's the best known. And talent, I would add this, talent beats hard work every time talent is not working hard. Hard work beats talent every time talent is not working hard. And one thing I've seen for me is the consistency. People come and tell me, hey, you're consistent. I see you consistently. And that's something I've been doing ever since I was young. It's not like something I'm just doing now. It's just something I've had a passion for. I'm a self-taught drummer. I play the drums at my church. I've been playing since I was 6 years old, self-taught, left-handed. I just go. I'm creative. I think outside the box. I create solutions. I solve problems, and I'm able to think on my feet. So I'm able to now know what the solution could be. So when I come here and I talk about these things and I'm consistent about it, it's because I know someday, somehow, sometime, somewhere, someone is going to reach out and connect. And it's because of one thing they heard. So that's why I'm always consistent and making sure that things are done and said well. So that you're also not caught by surprise when things are happening, out of motion. So if you're listening to this and you're coming towards the end of this, and you're looking for information on how to know what the best SEO strategy is for as a beginner, if you have a website, because you need to have a website to have to do this, is that you want to make sure your technical SEO is strong. Make sure that you're able to do that, connecting the dots. And no pun intended, but Google favors speed. Google favors speed and your mobile first design. In other words, when you have a website that is fast, you have images that load quick, when you have text that loads up fast, when you have scripts that run fast, when you have systems that run fast, then you're going to have a great time online because you're not worried about speed. Now you're worried about sustainability. That's the next thing. So also install your Google Analytics, install Google Search Console, submit your sitemap to Google, do smart keyword research. I've talked about Answer the Public, Uber Suggest. You can go to Answer Socrates. These are best places you can do that. Focus on long tail keywords. And these are keywords that can turn into conversations, right? Don't just focus on high volumes, and because most times when people see keywords, they're like, oh yeah, we want to get the highest volume. And no, get actually the lowest volume, because it's the bottom of the funnel that you're intending to be at. Most people start at the top of the funnel. Start at the bottom of the funnel. If you have something in your shoe that is hurting you, and then I come to the bottom of that and I fix it, now we can have a decent conversation because there's nothing that's in the way of our conversation. But if your shoe is still hurting you and I'm telling you how to fix this, what to do, what is the definition of this and that, you don't care about that. All you care about is, how do I get this stone off my shoe? That's what you're thinking about. So when you see high volume search impressions and high searches, you're like, yeah, high searches, yes, get them. That's great. But the ones that are low, the ones that say, let's say, best solutions for skincare, or vegan skincare, or vegan skincare versus natural skincare, whatever it is that you're looking for, wallpapers versus paint for your house, whatever it is you're looking for, those very specific keywords are going to have very low search volumes, but that's where the money is. That's where the conversions are. That's where the conversations start from. So when you're able to answer those questions first, deliver, and then enhance what you said by giving them more information about what you described or solved, now they can actually pay more attention to you because you solved their problem first. So most people do top of funnel to bottom of funnel. I like to do bottom of funnel to top of funnel, because when you know better, you're able to now process better, and now you can pay attention to what you're paying for because you now have the information that's giving you the decision to take the next step. So that's how I see it. Other people will be different. John, what do you see, top of funnel first or bottom of funnel first?
Well, since I'm not currently doing pay-per-click, I look at the top of funnel for search. I want to use the terms that people are searching for. If I was doing advertising, and then would look at difficulty and what the price per click usually is, I go for bottom of funnel, because when it comes to paid, the caveat is this: the keywords that I'm using have got to fit the product. I don't believe in clickbaiting us, but if I'm going to spend money, I want to spend as little as possible so I can make a presence known, because I don't have the budget that, let's just say, Amazon, although not everything, I don't have the budget Amazon has. I have the budget I have. So I got to make the most cost effective I can. But so when it comes to paid ads, I really look at bottom of funnel and cost and difficulty. When it comes to search, I look at top of funnel, and I don't really care about that.
I love that you're solving problems just head on. It's like, this is it. This is a solution. Here you go. Next topic. It's really good because it saves people time and also allows them to come back because you're able to give value over time. That's really good. One metric I'll say before we close is this. If you're a new business, if you're doing SEO on your website, or you're bootstrapping, or you don't want to, pay for SEO services and you just want to learn it on your own, great. There are platforms you can use, ChatGPT, there's LinkedIn Learning. You can go to Google, you can get certified, you can do a lot of stuff on that. You can go to YouTube and learn how to do SEO. You can get all those information. It's there. It's the same thing I'm telling you that you'll see on Google, you'll see on YouTube. The difference is how you apply it to your business model, because everybody's business model is different. Just like we all have a different DNA, everybody's business model is different. Just like it might be in the same NAICS code or NAICS code, but you might have a different marketing position. You might have a different operating system. You might have a different marketing stack. So it's really dependent on how you build it. So if you're a new business, this is one metric to look at. If you want to see results within 3 to 6 months of your SEO strategy, based on what we've talked about today, you need at least 1 to 2 times a week worth of content that you can reproduce or publish and distribute, definitely within a weekly cycle. So within 3 to 6 months, if you're a new website, that means in 6 months, you've been able to accomplish at least, let's say 24 articles or 24 links. That's almost half of the year, right? So if there are 52 weeks in a year and you have 24 links out of 52, that means in the next 6 months, you've written content for the next 6 months that are coming. So think about it like a cycle, a feedback loop. If I'm in September, I'm writing content for October, November, December. If I'm in December, I'm going to write content for January, February, March. So by the time I'm getting back to August, I'm now writing content for September, October, November. And because I wrote content for the months that are heading out, then I know anytime I'm getting closer to the next loop or when I'm about to close the loop, that's when I can now focus on content for the month that I was writing for the next month. So it's easier for you to think about it that way. You're writing for the future, you're not writing for now. So when people are searching for information now, they're going to find information that was written months ago, years ago. So if you want to be found in the next few months, in the next few years, you're writing content for the future. So that 1 to 2 times a week is going to be very important for you to see results within 3 to 6 months. You can definitely see it way less than that. Kind of like working out. If you go to the gym, if you're consistent, you'll see results. You will see results. Whatever you put in, you get out. So it's the same thing with your website. You can either do it yourself or get someone to do it for you. If you want to see faster results, do the same thing. Add podcast and add Pinterest. Those are 2 things that can really help you, because you start getting backlinks, you start getting referral links, you start getting access links, start getting image links. And those are really good links that can beef up your profile. So these are some things to think about if you want to scale fast. If you're an established business, if you're an established website, what we'll do is we'll audit your website, see what's wrong with it, and then we're able to help you scale as a business. And that way it takes time. And SEO is something that I always say it takes time, because what's happening on the back end is that the algorithm is reading you. Kind of like if I've met you for the first time, I'm not going to give you all my secrets in the first month of knowing you. That's ridiculous. No one's going to do that. Someone's going to tell you one thing at a time, because the more they feel closer, connected, and safe with you, the more they open up and connect with you. Even if someone's an introvert, if they see that you're actually there to help them and not hurt them, they're going to open up because they'll feel that they're connected to you, and vice versa. So that's the same thing with the algorithm. The more you're able to give information that you actually telling people about, the more the algorithm will say, yes, we want more. And you can do it. There's a cap though. Let me just let you know, because I'm sure you're wondering, okay, how much can I do? There's a cap. On Google, you have a quota of 10 out of 10. Which means every 24 hours on Google, you can't submit over 10 links, because if you try to submit the 11th link, it's going to give you a red message. It's going to give you, like, normally it's green. And then when you hit the 11th one, it's going to sound like that, because the 11th link says that you've exceeded the quota for the day. So in other words, you can write up to 10 blogs a day. So just imagine this. There are 52 weeks in a year. And if you write 10 blogs a day and you do times 5, that's 50 blogs. And I mean, this is outrageous. So you can do this if you have to. but you don't have to. Let me just give that disclaimer. But just imagine this, picture this, 52 weeks in a year, 10 links a day. In your first week, you have, and this is just a weekday, not even weekend, Monday through Friday, you have 50 links you've submitted to Google. And these are quality links, whether it's podcast episodes or blogs or topics, you've really taken your time to plan it out. Kind of like when you're seeing a new series or a new movie come out, they just drop the whole series on you from episode 1 through 10 or 10 plus because they've already prepared everything for you. That's kind of like the same thing you would do. So you don't have to publish it and start like running a hamster wheel. You can plan ahead, you can schedule, you can be process, do your time and everything, and then say, okay, bet I'm going to do, schedule them all out and then let them run through. So imagine in 1 week, you've done 50 links on a new website, 50 links on a brand new website, and you fulfilled each quarter to its max. Now, Google is also going to give you its max because if you're attracting different audiences, it's going to find those matches and match back to you. So if you have good infrastructure, you have a pop-up, people are signing up to your email list and they're connecting with you. That's a great thing. So just imagine 52 weeks in a year done within a week if you can, which is possible. But if you want to start from scratch and just take it easy, do 1 to 2 a week, at least 1 a week, because you have 52 weeks in a year. That means you have 52 episodes, 52 links as a blog, 52 topics you could cover. And it just takes one question, one answer to get one sale or one result or one solution. I don't need 2 solutions for the one problem I have. I need one solution. So imagine covering 52. Now you're increasing your conversion opportunities. You're increasing your conversion lifts. You're increasing your conversion engagement. And you're also increasing your brand because now more people see you and they can actually understand what you're saying. So it just depends on how you want to do it. You can go extreme or you can do the most minimal. But either way you go, you want to get to the finish line and you want to do it well. And then you also don't want to overload the system either. So you want to do it in a way that is very good. You don't want to overfeed yourself. You want to feed yourself to satisfaction, not to gluttony. So you want to make sure that there's a time and place for everything and there's a balance for everything too. So this was a good conversation. I'm glad we talked about it and I'm glad we covered this squarely. So if you have any questions about this topic, you can ask and we'll get this answered definitely for you. The next topic I'll be bringing to you is actually, let me even ask you which one sounds better, because I have a lot of them and I'm thinking between these two, which one should I start first? Because I'm going to do both, but which one should I start off with? And put a 1 in the chat for the first one and put a 2 in the chat for the second one, because they're really long. Not super long, but just listen to the topic. The first one, put a 1 in the chat if you want to hear about in the next room, how do I fix my website's crawl errors? Those are those error messages you keep getting on Google when you connect to Google. Those error messages. Or that's a 1 in the chat. Or 2, why is my competitor outranking me? That's a 2. So let me know in the chat if you want a 1 or a 2. I'm going to do both, but I want to know which one I want to start off with first, because there's really no order. So let's see in the chat. So 2. Okay, so 2 wins. We have a winner. Why is my competitor outranking me? And Kim says 1. Okay, thank you for that feedback. Yeah, it's good to hear the feedback. So I'll start off with 2, then I'll come back with 1. And I'll talk about this. I don't know if tomorrow is a good day to talk about it or maybe Monday. Probably Monday. I'll talk about it on Monday. In fact, I will talk about it on Monday at 5 p.m. Central, so that I make it very intentional. 5 p.m. Central, we'll be here in the Marketing Club. I will schedule it. So if you're not in this house, please click at the very top that says Marketing Club. And then under Marketing Club, thank you, Belle, you will see the schedule. As you follow the club, there are a lot of replays to listen to here that can really help you as a business. So we'll talk about it. Why? Because you matter, and what we talk about matters. The topic is, why is my competitor outranking me? We're going to explain why it's happening so you can do what they're doing and then outrank them. I'll give you one scenario before we go, just to kind of give you like a little teaser trailer about what's going to happen next room. So we had a client, this was 2 years ago, and we realized that she was in a very specific niche market business operation, and she was dealing with post-op surgery and post-op, recovery. And this is in Maryland. So, and I'm in Houston. So, and at that time I was in Atlanta. I just want to give you some context and backstory. So I decided to visit, and I said, okay, let me see the location. Let me see what's going on. Let me see what's happening. Because I like sometimes to even travel to make sure that I can see the location if you have a physical location, just to understand the terrain. I don't need to, but if it needs to happen, then great. Because I can do research online and find the same thing, but I want to also have that experience. So she was having a problem with getting visitors through the door because she was getting bookings, but the bookings were from clients she's already worked with, and she has great referrals, and she's active in business. But she was trying to get online sales and online bookings. So we said, okay, you know what? We're going to do everything we've talked about in this room, just to skip forward that. And then as we fast forward into how we were able to apply it, we decided to now write articles about foods that people eat during post-op recovery. Fruits, vegetables. This is very basic information I'm giving you that we did. And we said, okay, your website is not having any blogs. So let's build a blog, because within a blog, you have a script. And within that script, there's data. So we're able to really align, answer questions. And it's either pre-purchase or post-purchase. So we were focusing on post-purchase because people were trying to figure out post-op, recovery. So we're like, okay, post-purchase makes sense for post-op because people want to know what they're going to do when they're recovering. So let's focus on that. We focused on that to the point where I'm telling you about this competitor outranking, we did that for 3 months. And this was during the summertime because I learned more from my clients than they learned from me and my team when it comes to SEO, because so many businesses, different industries, and I learned so much from them. In her industry, I didn't know this, that most people, when they do surgery, when they do these post-op surgeries, they usually like to recover during the winter. Fall winter season. So that's usually like 3 to 6 months recovery. So that's when they have their high peak season, and that's when they're getting bookings. So I said, okay, if your high peaks are between this time and this time, spring and summer, they're out of the recovery care center, and between fall and winter, they're back. So those are 2 and 2 quarters. So that's 2 quarters, 2 quarters, 4 quarters. Now I'm like, okay, each season has a different depth. So we decided to focus on the quarter that was low season, and that was during the spring, summer season. So we were writing content. Mind you, we were not even thinking about the competitors. We already saw them and we're like, yeah, we're going to come back. And then 3 months later, I get a call from the office and they tell me, this is a real story. I was driving that day. I can never forget. I was driving and the client was like, hey, guess what? Our competitor called our office line to tell us that their clients were recommending our business opposed to theirs. And they were charging higher, actually. They had a higher price. And they were going to them and say, hey, we're going to go to these people next door. So they were calling us to say, what were you guys doing that you're taking our clients from us to the point where they're actually telling us where they're going to? That actually happened. And I was like, what? Yeah, because on Google, we flipped it. They were first and now we're first. Now they have an email list. Now they have educational material. All they had was services, bookings, pricing, and customer service, which is amazing. But we went over and beyond to educate the people who are actually signing up. And before you know it, they were booked 3 months out. They started having bookings 3 months out, 4 months out. And I was like, this is good. To the point where they almost even got into a huge documentary with a big company. I won't mention the name, a huge TV show. But things didn't work out because things changed, pathways changed. But it got to that pinnacle where they were actually recognized by a TV network. And this took about a year to happen, but the first 3 months were the most important because that was where the foundation was set. Kind of like when you build a house. If the foundation is wrong, if the relationship is wrong with the wrong foundation, at some point it's going to topple over, it's going to Humpty Dumpty, fall down, and it's going to be a whole disaster. So we don't want that. So to avoid that, we now had to make sure we had to lay and have a good playing field. And it was a website on WordPress. So it doesn't really matter what WordPress website you use or Wix website you use. It just depends on how you use the tools that you have. It's not about the tool. It's about how you use the tool. So we'll talk about how to outrank competitors, but I wanted to give you like a little snippet of how we did that with a client in real time and how you can do it with your own clients as well in today's world. So Thank you, John. Thank you, Belle, Howard, Julie, Soma, Mary, y'all, Supriya, Audrey, Taliban, Kim, and Kyle's. Hope you all are here and having a great time. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoy your weekend. I'll be here again on Monday, 5 p.m. Central, and I'm going to see you guys very soon. Have a blessed day, and I look forward to connecting with you. If you have any questions, please reach out to me and click my face, and you see all my links. My LinkedIn is here. If you want to book a call with me, if you want to get emails, you can click the link above and sign up to get information. I send out emails at least twice a month, and they're very heavy emails because they have a lot of context. So please feel free to reach out. If you have your business and you need business services, we can be here to help you. Until then, have a blessed day, and I will see you guys in the hallway or in the next episode. Talk to you soon. Happy Saturday. Now, that was an episode, right? Thank you so much for listening to the We Don't Play podcast show. I'm so glad that you're here and you are sticking tight with us, especially to the very end. Now, this is season 11 and we're going to do it differently. And I want to make sure that every episode you listen to has something to give back so that you can also learn more after you listen. Now, We Don't Play podcast show is where you listen, you live, you learn, and you earn. So if you're in any of those positions out of those four, please make sure that you reach out to me. Send out an email through info@playinc.online. That's info@playinc.online. Or you could go to playinc.online, which is a website, www.playinc.online, playinc.online, and schedule a call so that we can get you on an SEO discovery call to talk about your business and help you with your marketing needs. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope this helped you. See you in the next episode. God bless you. Jesus loves you. Bye.